I thought I knew my roommate, but one evening when he whispered something to me that changed everything, I realized that no, I didn't even know myself. Those 9 words made my heart stop and my life begin again. And all of this had to be kept secret. It started fast. Too fast. 3 weeks into the fall semester, I already knew I was in trouble. Not because of school, classes were fine, but because of him. Caden, my new roommate. Confident, magnetic, the kind of guy who always seemed at ease in his own skin. People noticed him. I noticed him. He walked like the world bent slightly to make room for him, and every day I told myself to stop watching. Every day I failed. We weren't friends right away, just two guys sharing a space, both busy with school. But there were moments, small things, the way he asked if I needed coffee before a morning lecture, the time he stayed up to help me reformat a corrupted presentation file, the way he remembered I liked my music low and my ramen spicy. I was careful. I knew what this was. He wasn't like me. He talked about girls. Not in the gross way some guys do. Just casual, like it was obvious, normal. There was an ex named Brooke. I heard the name more than once. She still texted sometimes. He still smiled when he saw her name on the screen. So I kept my distance. Or tried. Until one night, that failed too. It was a Thursday, late. I'd been working on a psych paper in the common room when Caden walked in, rubbing sleep from his eyes, phone in hand. "You're still up?" he asked. "Deadline," I said. He sat across from me. Didn't say much. Just sat. Close enough that I could hear his breathing slow as he relaxed. Close enough that I forgot my thesis for a second. "Can I ask you something?" he said suddenly. "Sure." His eyes didn't meet mine. "Do you ever pretend to be someone you're not? Just so everything stays simple?" The question hit harder than I expected. "All the time," I said. He nodded, jaw tense. "Same." There was silence after that. Long, quiet, but not empty. Then he stood. "Get some sleep, Alex." He left, but something in his voice stayed. A crack in the calm. The shift was subtle but steady. He started showing up in the common room more, sitting closer, asking deeper questions. "What do you think makes people afraid to be honest? Do you think everyone has a version of themselves no one knows?" They felt random. They weren't. And I answered carefully, unsure of the rules. But nothing prepared me for the night in November when the line between us snapped. We were walking back from campus, cold air, empty streets, no one else around. We'd been talking about the holidays and how neither of us planned to go home. He stopped under a streetlight. "Alex," he said, "there's something I need to say." I turned to face him. He was staring at the ground. "I don't know what's wrong with me," he said. "I've never felt this confused, but I think about you. A lot. More than I should." I froze. He looked up. "I don't know what this is. I don't know what I want. But when I'm with you, everything feels real." And then he said the 9 words. "Can we keep this between us for now?" The air went still. My heart broke a little. And still, I said yes. That night, everything changed. Nothing physical, no kiss, no touch, just a shift in gravity. He sat beside me on the couch, closer than ever. His knee touched mine. His silence said more than words. And I let it happen. Because I wanted it. And I was scared to want it. He stayed up talking with me for hours. About high school, about pressure, about how hard it is to live up to other people's expectations. He didn't say the word. Neither did I. But the truth hung between us, waiting. It didn't feel like a beginning. It felt like a glitch in reality. One we weren't sure how to fix. After that night, Caden didn't say anything about what he'd confessed. He didn't need to. Everything shifted. The way he looked at me. The way he lingered in shared silence. He'd never been great at hiding emotion, but now he didn't even try. We didn't touch. Not really. But every moment felt charged. A pause too long in the hallway. A glance that should have been nothing but wasn't. He'd brush past me in the kitchen, and I'd feel it for hours. One night, he brought me tea. Said he remembered I liked that kind. Stood there awkwardly as I took the mug, and for a second I thought he might lean in. But he didn't. Instead, he said, "I think about it all the time," and left. By Thanksgiving break, we were alone on campus. Everyone had gone home. He didn't talk about his family, but I could tell there were reasons he stayed. Expectations, pressure. That girl, Brooke, his ex, was still part of that world. We cooked dinner together like it was normal, but nothing was normal anymore. After the meal, we sat on the floor, backs against the couch, lights low. "I wish it could stay like this," he said quietly. "Just us." He nodded. "Without the noise, without the roles we have to play." I didn't ask what roles he meant. We both knew. And then it happened. He reached out, hesitant, almost scared, and took my hand. I froze. So did he. "This okay?" he asked. I nodded. "Yeah." He didn't let go. That night I couldn't sleep. Not because of nerves, because of what it meant. For weeks I had convinced myself it was one-sided, that I was seeing things, projecting. But he had made a choice, a small, terrified choice, and I couldn't pretend it meant nothing. The next evening we watched a movie on the couch. Halfway through, his head dropped lightly onto my shoulder. My breath caught. He stayed there. Didn't move, didn't explain. When the credits rolled, he whispered, "I don't want to go back to pretending." But he did. The next morning he was distant, cold even, said he had to study, avoided eye contact. I knew the signs. Fear. That afternoon I went for a walk to clear my head. When I got back, he was waiting. "I'm sorry," he said. "I don't know how to be this. I'm still figuring out what it means." "You don't have to rush it," I said, "but I need to know it's real, that I'm not just an experiment." He looked at me then, and the honesty in his face said everything. "It's real," he said. "Too real. That's the problem." We kept it quiet. No one knew. In public, we were roommates, friends. In private, we were something else. We didn't use labels. There was no need. But every look, every late-night conversation, every brush of fingers meant more than either of us could say. I should have been happy. Part of me was. But secrets have weight, and the more we built this hidden thing, the more I wondered how long it could survive the light. Then came the text. From Brooke. He didn't hide it. Just looked at his phone too long. "You okay?" I asked. "She wants to meet when I go home," he said. "My parents asked if we're still talking." And there it was. The other life. The one I couldn't be part of. "Are you going to see her?" I asked, trying to sound casual. "I don't know," he said. "I haven't told them anything. They think I'm the same." "You're not." "I know." He hesitated. "But I don't know how to show them who I am now." The silence between us was sharp. I wanted to say, "Then don't go. Stay here. Stay with me." But I didn't, because I wasn't sure he would. Caden left 2 days before Christmas. No promises, no goodbyes, just, "I'll text you." I knew what that meant. He needed space, to think, to fold back into the life he lived before me, a life where he smiled through silence. I didn't blame him, but it still felt like losing something I never fully had. The texts were short, surface level. "Got in okay. Family's good. Busy with dinner." I stopped checking for depth. I stopped checking, period, until New Year's Eve. I was at a friend's apartment, trying to fake interest in countdown games and plastic champagne. The room was loud. My mind was somewhere else. Then my phone buzzed. Caden, calling. I stepped outside. The cold hit immediately. "Alex," he said, breathless, "I can't do this." "Do what?" "Pretend. Live like this. Go to these parties and smile at people who don't know who I am. I miss you. I can't stop thinking about you. And it's driving me insane." He kept talking, words tumbling out. I tried to be what they wanted. I tried to feel what I used to feel, but I couldn't. Every time I looked at her, I saw everything I'd been lying about. I closed my eyes. The street was quiet, snow falling slow. "Then stop lying," I said. "Come home." He paused. "I booked a flight. I'll be back tomorrow." When he walked through the door the next day, he looked different. Not lighter, just clear. He dropped his bag and hugged me like he hadn't allowed himself to before. "I told my mom I wasn't getting back with Brooke," he said. "She cried. My dad went quiet, but I said it anyway." He stepped back, holding my gaze. "I'm not hiding anymore." The days that followed felt like recovery, not from each other, from the weight we'd both carried. Caden started talking more, really talking, about how he learned to smile through discomfort, how he dated girls because it was easier than asking why he didn't feel the things they did, how he used perfection as a shield, and how I ruined all of that, in the best way. "I look at you," he said one night, "and I stop pretending. That scares the hell out of me." "You don't have to be fearless," I said. "You just have to be honest." He didn't rush to label anything. I didn't ask. It wasn't about a name. It was about showing up. And he did. He started staying in my room. Not always, but more often than not. He reached for my hand in quiet moments. He leaned in when the world outside was too loud. And still, there were days he pulled away, like when a classmate casually mentioned how close we were. Caden's smile stiffened. He changed the subject. Later that night, I asked, "Are we back to hiding?" "No," he said quickly, then slower. "I just panicked. Old reflex." I nodded, but something cracked. The final push came in March. Caden's ex showed up. She'd been accepted to a grad program nearby and wanted to catch up. He didn't want to say yes, but he did. They met for coffee. I waited like a fool. When he came home, he looked wrecked. "She asked if I was seeing anyone," he said. "What did you say?" I told her no. The silence that followed felt loud. "I couldn't say it, Alex. I couldn't say you." I stepped back. "I'm not your secret, Caden. Not anymore." His face dropped. "It's not that simple. It never is. But you don't get to want me in the dark and deny me in the light." He tried to explain. I stopped him. That night, we didn't sleep in the same room. For the first time in months, I locked the door. He didn't knock, didn't text, didn't ask if I wanted to talk. For 3 days, the silence in our apartment felt like punishment. I went to class, ate alone, slept half the night and stared at the ceiling the rest. He stayed in his room. I stayed in mine. And in that gap between us, everything we'd built started to rot. On the 4th day, I found a note taped to the fridge. "Talk tonight?" I almost didn't answer. But at 9:12 p.m., I walked into the living room and sat across from him. He looked like he hadn't slept. "I don't know how to fix this," he said. "Then maybe don't lie to me again," I replied. He nodded like he'd been expecting that. "I didn't mean to hurt you." "But you did." He looked away. I panicked. I saw her sitting there waiting, still holding on. And for a second, I wanted to be the version of me she remembered. "That version doesn't exist anymore." "I know," he said, "but I don't know how to be this one either." We sat in silence, but it wasn't the same silence. This one had an edge. Finally, he said, "Do you still want this? Us?" I wanted to say yes. I wanted to say no. I wanted him to say it first. "I want something real," I said. "Not something hidden. Not something you run from every time it gets hard." He nodded. "Then I have to stop running." The next day, he told his best friend. I didn't ask him to, but he did. They sat outside after class. I watched from a distance. I saw the moment the words landed, the pause, the long silence. When Caden walked back inside, he looked stunned. "He said he's proud of me," he told me. "Said he kind of already knew." That night, he reached for my hand again, no hesitation. It wasn't everything, but it was something. Over the next 2 weeks, he told 3 more people. Each time I waited for the fallout. It didn't come. Some were surprised, some weren't. But no one turned on him. He started to change. Not the way he dressed or walked or talked, but the way he held himself, like the weight was finally shifting. Then he said he wanted to tell his parents. I told him he didn't have to, not for me. "I know," he said, "but I have to, for me." He called them on a Thursday night. I sat beside him on the couch, our knees barely touching. His hands shook. "Mom, Dad, there's something I need to tell you." He spoke slowly, carefully, honestly. There were long pauses. I couldn't hear their words, only his reactions. By the end, his eyes were red, but he was still breathing. "They're confused," Oni said, "and disappointed, but they didn't hang up." "That's something." "It's a start," he said, and then he reached for me like he needed to hold on to something real. For the first time, we walked across campus together, side by side. Not as roommates, not as a secret. He let his fingers brush mine, didn't pull away. Someone from class passed by, did a double take. Caden didn't flinch. Later I asked him if he was okay. I'm terrified, and he said, but I'm tired of choosing fear over truth. One evening in April, he planned a surprise, an indoor picnic, my favorite food, music we used to play when we were still pretending we weren't something more. I know I've made mistakes, he said. I've lied, I've pulled away, but I want you to know something. What? You're not my secret anymore. You never were. And then quieter. You're the first thing I've ever wanted enough to risk losing everything else. We didn't become perfect, but we became honest. Weeks passed, exams closed in, summer crept closer, and through it all we stayed. Sometimes we fought. Sometimes he pulled away when something hit too close. But now he came back, every time. That was new. One night I asked him, what scared you most? He didn't answer right away. Then he said, that I'd lose everything I thought made me, me. Did you? He smiled, faint but certain. No, I lost what was killing me slowly. He didn't call them often, his parents, but he didn't avoid them anymore. One night his mom called. He stepped outside to talk. When he came back in, I braced for the worst. She asked if I was happy, he said. I told her yes, and she said, maybe that's what matters most. I let that sink in, not acceptance, but something like permission to breathe. Summer came. We packed up the apartment, 2 years in that space, and we left almost everything behind. I don't want to move back home, he said. Then don't. You'd want to move in. It wasn't the question I expected, but it was the one I'd hoped for. I already live where you are. We rented a small place just off campus. No hiding, no pretending. He told the landlord we were partners, not roommates, not friends. The word landed like a flag on new soil. His, ours. We made mistakes, still do. But now when he slips, he says it. And when I doubt, he holds my hand and waits. We don't raise our voices, not because we never feel angry, but because we both know what silence used to cost us. One night, months later, I found a small box in his drawer. Not hidden, just there. Inside, a folded piece of paper, torn at the edge. His handwriting. A list. Things I'm afraid to lose. There were only 2 words. Him, myself. Now when we walk into rooms, we don't check who's watching. When someone asks, are you two? We don't pause. He answers before I do. Yeah, we are. The first time his dad came to visit, he didn't know what to expect. But he stood tall, didn't shrink. They shook hands, talked. It wasn't warm, but it wasn't cold either. Later, Caden said, he didn't look away. Is that enough? I asked. For now, he said, I don't need them to carry us, just not crush us. I used to wonder if we'd make it, if secrets would pull us apart, if shame would rot the good things. But every time he chooses truth, every time he stays, it rewrites a story that once ended in silence. One day someone will ask how we lasted, how something that started in the dark found light. And I'll say, we stopped pretending, we stopped apologizing, we stopped running. That's how we lasted.